Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Prasidee Podcast. As you know, we will interview an awesome startup entrepreneur in our each episode. Our first guest is Mr. Manoj Tandon, the founder and CEO of the Manoj Tandon and Company. He is also a mentor with NASSCOM 10,000 Startups India and has written books on startups. Let's find out about his journey and success mantra. Hi Manoj. So please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us what you do.
Okay. My name is Manoj Tandon, and to simply put it, I'm a Generation O entrepreneur. O means old. I mean, if you take the current generation and call them X, Y, and Z, so you can date me to something like an alphabet O. In addition to being an entrepreneur, I'm also I've written a few books. I write articles. I'm a father, son, husband, and kind of person who enjoys life and enjoys my work.
Okay. So tell us something about your work.
We have. I right now I'm running my consulting company, which I started in 2013, with a view to help SME IT companies grow. So we call ourselves, our tagline is Growth Catalyst. When we say catalyst, the catalyst word is very important here. We do not necessarily just bring growth to a SME. In other words, we don't bring deals to SMEs, or we don't do selling for them, but we actually get ourselves embedded into the organization, and we help the SME in all areas, right from strategy to sales to delivery to HR, help their people, and through their people make growth happen. So that is the key part here. So that's why we call ourselves catalysts. So we are not a part of selling or growth. We are actually inducing growth in an organization by enabling and by giving their people the ability to grow on their own. Idea is, if 2 years later we decide, or for some reason we move out, the growth should anyway carry on, irrespective of us.
So yours is a very different story. Usually people are ready to take risks when they are young. But, just please share with us what inspired you to change the course of your life at an age where Indian fathers are mostly worried about their daughters' marriages.
Okay. Sometimes life has its own strange ways of giving you opportunities to reinvent yourself, to redo things. And sometimes we take them, most often we don't, because of some real or imaginary fear. In my case, around 2013, life went through a bit of a upheaval, both personally and professionally, and I was kind of back to the starting point, if I may use that word. At that time, I had a choice. I could have found another job, gone in the safe path, or I could have decided that fine, I will do now what I really always wanted to do. With all the risks and other things associated with it. For some reason, I chose the later path. I said, listen, doesn't matter how old I am, it doesn't matter what is my stage in life, but I'm going to do what I have always wanted to do, and I will give it a shot. So I decided to become an entrepreneur.
That's wonderful. Now let's move on to the other question. What was your family's initial reaction? I mean, especially your wife. What was her reaction?
Yeah. So yes, actually, wives are always the matured ones in the family in that sense. Yes, her initial reaction was a sense of worry, but she's always been like a rock for me. I mean, always been the person around which my life has revolved, and always been an excellent support system. So depending upon how things are, she would adjust the rest of the stuff so that I can do what I want to do. So she's like a rock, and although her initial reaction was of a bit concerned, but gradually she understood what I wanted to do, appreciated that, and wove our life around it. Now, as far as my children are concerned, they were actually quite excited that dad is trying to do something different. And though you know how the new generation is, and
right.
they are daring, they are more risk-taking, and more self-confident. So I got a lot of support from my family, and that actually matters a lot when you try to do something at the stage of life that I did what I did.
And that's wonderful. All right. So how did you deal with the challenge of, not getting a fixed paycheck at the end of every month?
Okay. So that's something which is one can. So there are two sides to it. One is the emotional side and one is the practical side. So I personally think that if you tackle the practical side first, the emotional side can be managed. So here's what we did. We looked at our expenses in the last 1 or 2 years. We looked at what do we spend and what money do we need to manage a month. Obviously, some luxuries went out of the door because if you want to chase something, you want to get something, you want to leave something, and that's the price you pay. So we realized this is the amount of money that we're going to need to be able to survive and live peacefully. And what we did was we looked at our savings, what we had, and we converted them, if I may use the word, in such a way that they start paying me money on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. So that money helped me sustain the monthly expenses. And therefore, the tension of managing the month kind of went away from my head. And then I could just plunge into being a good entrepreneur and realizing my dream. So proper planning actually makes a lot of difference. Many of the risks, that's why I used the word earlier, real or imaginary. Many of these risks are imaginary because we don't plan and we don't think rationally. So once we had done that homework, once the Excel sheets were in place, once the standing instructions to the banks were in place, the concern was got away and we were fine after that.
So you have faced some major health issues in the past. How do you put up with such a dynamic lifestyle, with so many ups and downs and so much of travel?
Okay, so irrespective of, and this is for everyone that is hearing this, irrespective of your lifestyle, irrespective of how many things you do or how dynamic life you lead, I would say to everybody that taking care of our health is the primary thing that we must do. Uh, Bad health can derail all your life's plans in a jiffy, and all of us have to be very aware and be very careful about that. In my case, of course, it was actually very sudden, and even doctors were confused. At the age of 51, I had a bypass surgery. So I had some problems. They did some tests. They realized that I have artery blockage, so they had to do a bypass surgery. It kind of shook us up, shook me up, shook my family up, because generally it's too early an age to have all these kind of problems. Fortunately, everything went off fine, and I got my life back to normal. Of course, so what I do and how what I would suggest others should do also always, the lesson that I have learned after talking to my doctors and after my surgery and reading a lot of material, etc., is that I'll give some simple tips. One is, for example, uh, eat less, burn more. In this era of fast food, most of the fast food is very unhealthy. So eat as less as you can manage with. We all want to eat; it's very tasty, but and burn more. So you must exercise. And I've heard these discussions very often that whether I should do this exercise or that exercise, or whether I should do this, how long, this, that. Should I do it early in the morning or late in the evening? My answer is simple. Do something. Move your body, push your body to do something. It doesn't matter. Maybe ideally you should do it at 4 o'clock in the morning and so many kilometers of walk and run. But the fact is, even if you do at 7 in the evening, it still, and it gives you 80% of the benefits, it's still more than zero. So don't keep looking for the optimal, just start exercising and control your diet. And also, once you are 40 plus, because in the current environment, especially with the ecosystem also not being there at its best, there are chances that people will get diseases that people do get diseases at an earlier age. So get yourself checked up regularly once you have crossed the age of 40. It is just to prevent something major from happening. So that's in simple, or maybe in a complex way, my is the way how I handle these things.
All right. So, although you have covered the answer, but still, I would like to ask you, how do you take care of your health, and what do you suggest to new entrepreneurs in this age who usually ignore their health for their work? They are always submerged in work. So, what advice would you have for them?
Never. So whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are in a job, whether you work 12 hours, whether you work 18 hours, whether you work 6 hours, you have to exercise. There are methods of doing that even within in their office. There are enough material available on there. There are methods available. There are means and exercises available for people who have a very long working hours. But this is something which you can never ever ignore, because one bad misstep in health, and all your hard work is gone. You could be on a fast track to become a very senior guy in a job, or your company may be growing very well, and you get some disease which doesn't allow you to function beyond a point, and everything that you have created will go like a castle of sand in no time. So please, things may be going well, maybe going bad. You may be doing very well in your career. You may not be doing very well in your career. Please do not ignore health at any point in time.
That's a great advice. Well, I'm sure by now you also know that Manoj has a lot to share with us. If you want to find more about his startup TMTC, the challenges he faced on his work front, and how he seamlessly solved these professional problems, listen to our next episode. You can expect to find out the solutions to some of your own major business problems. Thanks for listening to our first episode. Bye-bye. Please find all the details of this interview in the description below and podcast show notes. If you liked it, please don't forget to hit the red subscribe button below, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your friends and family. For latest updates, please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.